be.
This is so bad.
What the hell?
Good morning, San Francisco. In breaking news, a murder has been committed in San Francisco. A man was found chopped up in a suitcase without any hands or head. Detectives have identified 5 missing people as the possible suspect and are narrowing down on it today.
Yeah, Sally Hunter. Do you know this person? Yeah, I know him.
Can we ask you a few questions, please?
Sure. Awesome. How do you know this person? I'm married to him.
How long has he been missing?
About 2 weeks now.
Did anything strange happen when the week he was missing?
Not that I can remember, but we don't really talk a lot.
You seem like you don't really care that he's missing.
Of course I don't care. I don't love him.
Do you mind if we take some DNA samples?
Fine.
Thanks for your time. We'll be going now.
Yeah, please leave.
Hello, San Francisco. I'm your host, Frank Richardson, bringing you news. Progress has been made on the Suitcase murder, and detectives have narrowed it down to being one of 5 victims, 2 of which they already have DNA samples for, and the last 3 they are getting today. On scene right now is my wonderful co-host, Joan Stevenson. Joan, can you give us a little more insight as to what's going on right now?
Thanks, Frank. Joan here outside of Sumner's building while Detective Carol and Pierce are in there interviewing Sally Ondren, who is Sumner's Strump's wife. Sumner has recently been missing for 2 weeks now, and this might be the first possible lead they have in their case. Oh, and here they come now. Detectives, can you give us any
Sorry,
new
we have
information?
a really tight schedule.
Can you give us any new information? Is Sumner I can't sleep alone. Sarah, hi. Hi Frank, this is Joan here. We are currently following the detectives Carol and Pierce today. We are at Kate's house, David Freelander, Holmes' sister. And now, let's go find out if they can find anything. Okay!
Come have a seat. May I ask what this is regarding?
We found a chopped up body in a suitcase, and it could possibly be your brother.
You think that my brother could be in a suitcase?
Can we have some DNA of your brother?
Yeah, of course. I think there's a fork over there.
I think we have a sample.
Awesome. Thanks for your time.
Please let me know if I find anything.
Definitely.
Detectives are now finding the 5th and final piece of DNA evidence from missing person Jared Rivera. On scene now is Joan. Joan, what's going on?
Thanks, Frank. This is Joan here. We're at the University of Bay where a missing person, Jared Rivera, has been missing for 3 days now. Now, we are here with Carol and Pierce, the detectives who are going to be interviewing Nick, the roommate of Jared Rivera. Let's hope that they can find...
Excuse me, you've been way too loud for the library. This is Pat.
I'm sorry, what?
Please leave.
Yeah, let's go.
relationship with this guy is?
Yeah, he was my roommate until he went missing.
How long has he been missing?
A few days.
Did anything strange happen in those few days?
Not really, to me at least.
Were you guys close?
I mean, not super close, but like we talked sometimes.
Can we get some DNA samples?
Sure. That's his hat, actually.
How long has he been your roommate?
Before he went missing, just a couple months.
I think that's all. Thanks for your time.
Here we have Detective Chris. He is extracting DNA from the things we collected from the 3 missing people. The other 2 missing persons already have DNA in our database, one being Bobby Hobart, an ex-convict, and the other being John DeRuff. He had his DNA sequenced. Through DNA fingerprinting, the initial DNA from the body in the suitcase should match up with one of the 5 missing victims. To identify the person in the suitcase, restriction enzymes will act as scissors and divide specific nucleotides. Here, Chris is using a restriction enzyme called EcoRI. EcoRI recognizes the sequence GAATTC and cuts between G and A. Each person's DNA sequence is unique to them, so only one victim will have identical fragments. After placing the restriction enzyme into the DNA tubes, Chris will place the tubes into the centrifuge for 2 seconds, thus mixing the restriction enzymes with the DNA, allowing the restriction enzymes to start making DNA fragments. Afterwards, the tubes are put into an incubator to allow the restriction enzymes to have a warm environment to work. After a couple hours in the incubator, the tubes go into the fridge and are ready to be compared. DNA is pretty much transparent, so in order to make them visible to compare, Chris is putting loading dye into the DNA tubes to stain the DNA. Then he mixes a solution in the centrifuge. To see where the DNA sequences are cut, Chris will use the process of electrophoresis. Electrophoresis is the process that occurs when DNA comes within range of a positive and negative power source. First, we put the gel into the electrophoresis chamber. Because negatives attract to positives, it is important that the canal side of the gel is closer to the black-wired negative electrode. Using a pipette, the 6 DNA samples are loaded into the 6 wells inside the gel. Because DNA is negatively charged, negatives and positives attract, causing the negatives of the DNA to travel through the gel toward the positive pole of the electrophoresis chamber. The DNA is stretched along the gel, each one with a different kind of pattern along where the DNA base pairs were split from the restriction enzyme. Now all we have to do is compare the DNA found at the crime scene and the DNA of each of the missing pairs. Using the data provided, we can now see that the missing person is Jared Rivera. We'll turn this information over to the cops, and we're done here.
Been missing.
Maybe like 2 weeks.
Did anything happen before you?
Yeah, please leave.
Figure out how to spell that.
How do you spell that?
Thanks, man. Whoa.